Hi friends, and welcome back to the Kenwood Kids Club from the Mr. Baker's Cakes kitchen. Now, I don't know about you, but recently I've become a little bit obsessed with these random national days that always seem to pop up all over the place. National Pizza Day, and last week we even did National Devil's Food Cake Day. I found another one. In America, today they are celebrating National Cherry Dessert Day. Apparently it's a real thing. I didn't know. So I thought in this week's video, in honour of National Cherry Dessert Day, we should do something involving cherries. Now, I'll be honest, I've been a bit creative with the theme because I haven't gone for a typical dessert. What I've done is I've taken a dessert and I've turned it into a cake because, let's face it, we all love baking cakes, don't we? So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a brand new recipe, a cherry and almond crumble cake. It's a long name, but it's actually quite simple to make, and I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do in this week's video. If you want to bake along with me, just head down to the video description and you will find the full list of ingredients that you will need, and you'll also find a link to the Kenwood Kids Club website where the whole recipe method is written out as well. While you're at the Kenwood Kids Club website, don't forget to sign up as a member because that means you'll get your very own membership card, and it means you'll be able to enter your bakes into our Star Baker of the Month competition. More on that at the end of this video. If it's your first time watching one of our videos here in the Kenwood Kids Club, don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you go today. And if you enjoy this video, why not give it a like as well? But if you've done all of that and you've got your ingredients ready, I think it's time to get cracking, don't you? So the first thing we're going to do today is make an almond sponge cake. Now this is a really lovely bake actually that can be used for all sorts of different things. It's essentially a loaf cake made with almonds, so it gives it lots of kind of texture and moisture, and it's really, really tasty. To make one, all you need to do is grab your stand mixer or a large bowl and a spoon if that's what you're using, and in there I want you to put your butter. Didn't want to go in, did it? And you're going to add in your sugar as well. And then using either your spoon or your beater for your mixer, you're just going to cream these together until they're nice and smooth and really pale in colour. It shouldn't take more than a couple of minutes. And when you've done that, you should end up with something that looks a little bit like this. So hopefully you can see that butter isn't a bright yellow anymore, but it's gone really pale while it mixed with that sugar. That's because we've mixed loads of air into our mixture as well, which is going to help give us a brilliant rise on our cake. Now in with that, we're going to add in some eggs, and I've got 3 medium eggs today. Now regular viewers will know that we usually crack our eggs into a separate bowl, just because if we drop any shell in there, it's a lot easier to get it out of a small bowl just with the eggs in than trying to fish it out of our mixture here. So I'm going to crack all 3 of my eggs into this bowl. And then I'm just going to give them a little mix with a fork before I start adding them to my mixture. When you've done that, pop your mixer back on the absolute slowest speed, and then you're just going to add about 1/3 of your egg mixture. I think that was a bit more than 1/3, but never mind. Once it's in there, you can increase the speed slightly. And what you're looking for the mixture to do is for all of those ingredients to kind of come together in a smooth paste. We call that emulsification, which is a very big word. Now sometimes when you're mixing egg into a butter and sugar mixture, it can do what's called curdling, or essentially it separates, and it means that the emulsification, that big word, has failed, but you can help it on its way with a little bit of your flour. So if that happens, just pop some in and then pop the mixer back on, and that flour will help bond everything back together. And then when you're ready, You can add the rest of your egg mixture. And then the rest of your flour. Now you don't want to overbeat your mixture once you've got your flour in there. And I know I say this all the time, but some people might be watching for the first time. But if you overbeat or mix for too long your mixture when the flour's in, you can activate something called gluten that's in the flour. It's a protein, and we use gluten in bread to help make our mixture really nice and stretchy. But we don't want our cake mixture to be like that. So try to mix it just until you can't see that flour anymore, and then you can take it off the stand and use your spatula to just whiz around and check everything is nicely mixed. If it is, it's time to go in with our last ingredients, and that is some ground almonds, because this is an almond cake after all. And because it's an almond cake, I'm going to punch up that flavour with a little bit of this almond extract. Now, I normally say to put in around about half a teaspoon, but it depends on your taste, really. Also, I don't think this one's very strong, so I've put in a little bit extra. And then just using your spatula, you just want to stir the almonds and the almond extract through the cake mixture until it's nice and smooth again. Now, you might find it gets quite thick when you add the almonds in, and that's okay. If it's too thick, mine's not too bad actually, but if it's too thick, what you can do is add in up to a tablespoon of milk. And what that's going to do is just help loosen your mixture up slightly and give you what we call a dropping consistency. A dropping consistency means that when you lift the mixture up with your spatula or with your spoon, it drops back off again. So I'm going to finish mixing mine through and then we'll check. It smells really nice and almondy. Okay, so I'm going to pick some up on my spatula, and what we're looking to happen is that it will drop off back into the bowl. Like that. And that's what we call a dropping consistency. Now all I need to do is place my mixture into a grease and lined loaf tin, and this is just a regular loaf tin, and actually I've got these amazing liners that I just found at the supermarket, which mean I don't have to grease my pan at all because it lines it perfectly. I'm going to spoon my mixture in just to make sure it's evenly spread throughout the whole tin. You might need to get an adult to help you do this bit. And then just use your spatula to spread that mixture around to make sure that it is spread out evenly in the tin. That then needs to go into a preheated oven at 180 degrees C, which is 160 degrees fan or gas mark 4 if you bake with gas, for around about 50 minutes. That's 50 minutes. What you're looking for it to do is to have risen well. It should be almost to the top of this tin. There should be a nice dome in the centre, and it might even crack as well, but those are all good signs. It should also be a lovely shade of golden brown as well. So I'm going to go and pop mine in the oven, and then while it's in there, I'll show you how to make the crumble topping. So my cakes are in the oven, and now I'm going to show you how to make the crumble topping to go on top of your cherry and almond crumble cake. Now, the first thing I will say is this is a fairly normal crumble recipe. So if you're somebody who's made apple crumble before, then this should feel really familiar to you. And if you haven't made apple crumble before, we actually have a recipe for that right here in the Kenwood Kids Club. So just head up to the search bar and you should find it with no problems at all. Now we're doing everything by hand for this bit, so there's no mixer, no spoon or anything, just a large bowl. And into that large bowl, I would like you to add some flour, but this is plain flour. In the cake recipe, we use self-raising flour, which has baking powder in it that makes your cake rise. For your crumble topping, we don't need it to rise at all, so plain flour has no raising agents in it at all, and we can just use it as it is without adding anything. Into the flour, we're going to add some butter, and this butter has come straight from the fridge, so it's really solid. That's really important for this bit, because if it was soft, instead of making a crumble, we'd end up making like a paste. It would probably still taste nice, but it wouldn't look as good on our cake. And then what we're going to do is rub these together. I'm going to show you what that means, because it's a strange expression. What you want to do is cover the butter in the flour, and then we're going to pick up 2 cubes and just squeeze them, and then drop them back in again. And then do it again, and do it again. Now, if your butter is fresh from the fridge, you might find this bit a bit tricky. But again, if you do, just get your adult to help. And then we're just going to keep picking up these little bits of butter and squeezing them into the flour. And that's what we mean by rubbing together. What we're looking to happen is for all of the butter to almost have disappeared into the flour, and it should look a bit like breadcrumbs. So I'm going to keep going, and hopefully you can see that those bits of butter are getting smaller and smaller as they combine with the flour. And then when they get to this sort of stage, I like to switch, and I put some on one hand, and then I just rub my fingers across them in the opposite direction, and that helps them get even smaller. I'm not pressing hard or anything like that. It's literally just about rubbing them together so that they kind of combine but still stay in tiny pieces. It doesn't take long once you've done it a few times, and you should end up with something that looks like this. Can you see it almost looks like breadcrumbs, like I've just taken some bread and kind of broken it up into little crummy pieces. Once you get to this stage, you can go in with some caster sugar and some flaked almonds. And then just using your fingers, we're going to give them a very quick mix together. We just want the sugar and the almonds to be spread out evenly amongst that butter and flour mixture. And then, once you've done that, all you need to do is grab a flat baking tray, like this one here, and I've just popped some baking paper on the top of mine. And then I'm going to pop this crumble mixture onto that tray and then spread it out with my fingers. You want it to be as flat as possible, because what we're going to do is toast this in the oven so that it goes a lovely shade of golden brown. And that's also going to cook the flour, because we can't eat raw flour, remember. But by the time we've toasted this off, it will be perfectly safe and delicious to eat. And there we go, that's ready. So I'm going to leave this to one side while I wait for my cakes to finish baking. And then all I'm going to do is take the cake out, put this in, and then turn it up to about 170 degrees fan. What that's going to do, as I say, is toast this off, turn it a lovely golden brown colour, particularly around the edges, and it shouldn't take more than about 15 minutes. When you've done that, just leave everything to cool, and then I'll show you how to assemble your cake together. Okay, so it's a couple of hours later now, and I have my baked cake, which I've let cool down in the tin, and I have my toasted crumble topping as well, which is also nice and cool. Once you get to this stage and you're ready to assemble your cake, it's really easy. All you need to do is take your cake out of the tin, which should be super simple if you found these liners like I've got. And then I'm just going to peel that liner off the cake. And then I can very gently tip it out, pop that in the bin, and then place the cake onto my serving plate or my cake stand, whatever it is you're using to serve your cake. Then, to top it with our kind of cherry mixture, we're absolutely cheating, we're going to use some jam. And actually, I found this jam at a food festival last weekend, and it might have had a hand in inspiring this whole recipe, because this is a cherry and amaretto jam. But you can use any kind of cherry jam that you like, so black cherry, cherry and mixed berries, but this one here is going to have a lovely almondy flavour to it as well. Now, depending on how thick your jam is, you might need to give it a bit of a warm in the microwave or in a pan on the hob. And if you'd like to see how to do that, we did it in our Battenberg video a few weeks ago. But hopefully, if your jam is a nice loose jam like mine, you should just be able to tip it out into a bowl and give it a stir. You won't need a whole jar, so I think I've gone for around about half. And I'm just going to give it a quick stir, just to make sure mine is nice and loose. But again, if yours is a bit thicker than mine, all you need to do is warm it in the microwave for a few seconds, or again, in a pan on the hob. And then I'm just going to spoon this lovely jam over the top of my cake. Now, if you want to, you can keep things really neat and smart and just pop it on the top, or you can allow it to run down the sides as well. That's really up to you. Oh, it smells so good. I'm not going to waste any of this delicious jam at all. And then to add your crumble topping, all you need to do is get your baking tray. Make sure you hold that paper, otherwise the whole thing will slide off. And then I'm just going to gradually, hopefully you can see this, slide it out into a bowl. Can you see it's got a really nice kind of golden colour? That's what's letting me know that that flour has cooked, so it's perfectly fine to eat. Now, you won't need to use all of this crumble topping on this one loaf cake, but when I tried to make it with less ingredients, I actually found it trickier. The good thing is though, that this crumble topping works in loads of other dishes too. I like sprinkling it over ice cream. Okay, so there we go. Now most of this is already crumbled up by putting it into the bowl, but I'm just going to give it a quick squeeze between my hands just to break up some of the bigger pieces. And then it's just a case of grabbing a big pinch and sprinkling it onto the cake. And keep doing that until you've covered the whole thing. Doesn't matter if any of it spills off, that's absolutely fine. This definitely isn't one that we're making pretty, it's one that we're making super, super tasty. You can be as generous as you'd like with the crumble. I like quite a lot of it. And there we go. That is my cherry and almond crumble cake. And doesn't that look absolutely delicious? I'm going to say it, you know I'm going to say it. I wish you could smell what I can smell, because it smells so, so tasty. Now this is ready to serve straight away, so as soon as you've added your crumble topping, you can cut it up and have a slice. Or if you want to keep it to serve later, just pop it in an airtight container and it should keep, well, officially for up to 3 days. But I've eaten it after that and it's still good as well. I do hope you enjoyed learning how to make my cherry and almond crumble cake today. Perfect for National Cherry Dessert Day if you're in the States. And if you did, don't forget to give this video a like. And if it's your first time watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. If you fancy having a go at this recipe, you'll find the full ingredients list down in the video description, as well as a link to the Kenwood Kids Club website where you'll find the full written out recipe method as well. As I mentioned at the start of the video, while you're there on the Kenwood Kids Club website, do make sure you have signed up as a member, because not only will you get your very own membership card, but you'll also then be eligible to enter our Star Baker of the Month competition. Every single month, we choose one of the photographs that's been uploaded by our members where they've had a go at one of our recipes here on the YouTube channel or over on the website, and we pick our favourite to be our Star Baker of the Month. That winner receives their very own Kenwood Kids Club goodie bag, which contains all sorts of amazing goodies, including your very own apron and your very own spatula. But you also receive your very own Kenwood hand mixer as well. And if that isn't the most amazing prize, then I don't know what is. So if that sounds like something you would like to do, all you need to do is have a go at this recipe or any of the recipes on the Kenwood Kids Club website or YouTube channel, take a picture and upload it to the website. As I said earlier, this is a brand new recipe that I made up just for you, so I'd love to hear what you thought of it. So if you give it a try, take that picture and upload it to the website, and why not tag me on social media as well? I'm sure your adults will be able to help you do that. I'll be back at the same time next week with another super simple, fun and tasty recipe, but until then, as always, take care and happy baking. Bye everyone.